Hello everybody, this is SlickRick441 here again with another War of the Ring analysis video. This is a game played against Kandalv, a ladder match that was played on Christmas Eve of 2021, and it was a very intense, fun game that I hope you all enjoy watching. Starting out, I was playing the Free People, and the opponent was playing the Shadow. And let's jump right into it, see what happens here. I rolled the die already and had two characters, so we can get the fellowship moving. As you can see, the Shadow only has one eye in the box, so that's what I like to see. But, so you can see here, something tragic happens, and they roll a 6 on the first die. Obviously, only a 1/6 chance of that happening. You never like to see it, but you know what? It'll happen one of every 6 games, so you got to be prepared for them. And they get a 3, so obviously, not the worst. I like to take Gandalf out on the 3 there, but it's kind of give or take. They go ahead and muster up Isengard. They have their 2 musters, so they can bring in Saruman. And as a Free People, I pass. Pretty typical start. They draw a strategy card. Now they muster in Isengard, which is safe, I would say. I don't have any Wills of the West, so I can't bring in Gandalf this turn. The only theoretical way possible, actually there isn't any way possible that I know of. Well, yeah, I guess you could use the card for the that one event card where it lets you change a character to Will of the West, but that would be really messy, so it's a safe bet there with Saruman. But of course, you could have waited till the end. There's nothing wouldn't really hurt you if you did that. I go ahead and move the fellowship again, only 1/3 chance of hitting me, and they hit me again. So not every day you see turn one eye in the box and get hit both times, and then they draw another 3. So not just getting hit twice, but dealing a total of 6 damage within the first 2 hits. So I'm not feeling very good. The fellowship is kind of shook right now. I'm going to go ahead and take a random on this one because taking 3 damage is quite a bit. I bet some people would take the 3 damage here to avoid the chance of taking out Strider, but I feel that's just a little too much corruption for me, and of course anybody in the Fellowship I would be happy to take out, including the Hobbits, because they could move closer to the Shire for Fearfire foes. So I'll do a random, and we get Boromir, and so that's ideal. Only take 1 corruption, and the Fellowship's still hidden, so on the bright side, they might have taken 6 damage total, but they're still hidden, so that's good. Shadow starts moving their armies out of Barad-dûr and Far-Harad, and the Free People musters down the Elves. And then the Sauron armies start marching north, and it's always tricky mustering up the Elves, because if they just march the Dol Guldur army straight into the Woodland Realm, it's can be for nothing. If you get it all the way and aren't able to muster a single elite, the Shadow's just happy you just wasted all your muster die for not much, and then they can get in the Witch King. And so then, yeah, they just kind of shuffle around their armies, and we head on to turn 2. So not a great turn 1 for the Free People, but let's see how this continues. Free People start by mustering the Elves to war, and so the Woodland Realm will get at least 1 elite in. Actually, look at that. So the Sauron is actually not at war, so they're gonna have to spend 1 die to bring them to war, a 2nd die to bring them to the Old Forest Road, and a 3rd to bring into the Woodland Realm. So theoretically, Free People can bring in at least 2 more elites here. And let's see what happens. So they muster Sauron to war, and then 1 elf goes into the Woodland Realm, and then the Sauron army marches into the Old Forest Road. And now the question is, for you, would you spend a ring here to put in another Elven elite in the Woodland Realm right now? Me, I decided to. I thought, let's get the Dew line secure, and so I bring in another elite to the Woodland Realm, so it will not be as easy for the Shadow to take. I would have loved to use that character die to move the Fellowship, but I am moving through Moria here, so rolling 2 dice, hitting on 5s might be a little risky. But now the downside of bringing the elves to war, he brings in the Witch King right away. But of course he was probably going to do that anyways, marching into the Woodland Realm. So I'm not too sad about that. And then he shuffles some units into Umbar, so now I'm thinking he has Corsairs, but you never know. A lot of people will bring their units into Umbar without Corsairs, because usually, you know, even if you're going to go up and around through Peligir, you're going to want those couple units from Umbar, so it's the same amount of movement if you move your whole stack into there and then into West Harndor later. And then he starts marching units north still, and he does not attack the Woodland Realm here, which is interesting. I don't have a muster, so I'm assuming with his last die he'll do it. And I'm safe on the Fellowship movement, so we get to 3, so now I can at least get into Moria. And with this last die here, he moves his units from South Ravanian to North Ravanian and does not take the Woodland Realm, which probably is a mistake, because now that lets the Free People muster another elf, so he has a full 5 stack into the Woodland Realm. And looks like they forgot to add the Witch King die there, so they do that at the very end. Okay, so then we head into turn 3. We draw some cards here. As you can see here, the Free People hasn't played any cards. We started out with Guards of the Citadel and Elven Cloak, so always happy to see Guards of the Citadel. To me, that usually means that I don't even try mustering Gondor to war, because if they attack Osgiliath, I don't need to worry about that extra muster into Minas Tirith, because I can always play Guards of the Citadel to get the 5 stack. The only thing you got to worry about in this case is Dol Amroth. You know, mustering 2 to bring them to war to then bring more elites into Dol Amroth is a thing you can do, but since they already have their units in Umbar, there is a chance they have the Corsairs, and you know, they'll just wait for you to waste the 2 musters and then use it. So it's always give or take. And I also have Mithril Coat and Sting, which is always good to see. And also, it looks like I can't see it very well. One of my computer icons is in the way. I think that was Kindred of Glorfindel with an advantageous position. The battle effect of that is pretty good, and also the action. And then I just drew Deadman. Oh, sorry. Looks like what was that? Okay, Swords of Eriador. There we go. I forgot you can click on the card and you can see it. But yeah, Swords of Eriador, I don't like the top part of the card. Usually people aren't going for the Shire and Erthuin, but drawing that extra strategy card is nice. And of course, Deadman of Dunharrow could be a game changer, but you know, it does require a bit of extra work with Strider to get him into Rohan. Really, it depends on the situation, and I can bring him there right now. He does have 6 movement, so I can move him through Isengard to the Fords of Isen right now. I think so. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But of course, if the Shadow has an Onslaught, there's a chance he can die in the Fords of Isen with an Onslaught. I have seen that happen before. So let's see how this turn 3 turns out. So as the Free People, I don't roll any character die, which is not great. A lot of musters, but you know, for a nice do defense, could be well. So I start off with an elite in the Woodland Realm, and again, this is also kind of risky because now a lot of my elves are out of the force pool. Looks like right now there's only 1 elite and 2 regulars left. So some other players probably would think, well, let's start going for Lorien and Rivendell right now, and maybe forget about the Woodland Realm. But that isn't what happens here. Though they go ahead and bring the Southerns and Easterlings down, and I keep passing. No reason to do actions, and give him time to react to my actions. And now Woodland Realm gets sieged. And some armies are put together. I play Elven Cloaks. You know, I usually hold off on my strategy cards like Guards of the Citadel because I don't want him to know that I have it. You know, I would like for him to start going towards Minas Tirith first, thinking I don't have it, and then play it to surprise him. So Elven Cloaks, no effect for playing that sooner or later. So now my opponent attacks the Iron Hills right now, thinking that he'll attack Erebor, it looks like. And I play advantageous position, so it hits on 6s. And he does hit. And I also hit, which is pretty lucky. And so now the dwarves are 1 away from war. I go ahead and it looks like I bring the north down from war. So just bringing them down 1 is pretty good because they have the option to either attack Dale or Karok. And whenever they do that, that will bring them straight to war. That means you can at least get 1 muster in the other side, which could cause a nuisance for the Shadow if they can't kill all 3 units in 1 turn. And now it looks like they go into Erebor, bringing the dwarves to war. Now I bring Gondor to closer to war. Thinking of the fact that I have Dol Amroth, that's kind of just sitting there. Usually, you know, if it's this early in the game, the chances of having Corsairs are so low. Might as well go for it if we can. But of course, you gotta think, could those musters be used better in different ways? And maybe it would have been better to bring the Edoras units at Rohan up to Westamnet. You know, everyone has their own playing styles, and I feel like my playing style is I don't usually move into Westamnet as soon as other players do. Obviously, I will if I have the dice for it, but it's kind of an interesting thing. Oh, let's see what's happened here. Oh yeah, look at that. I actually undid that last action, and I used a ring to move the Fellowship, because it's very, very safe movement there. And then he plays Olghai into the Woodland Realm. And now, here in this next round, I believe is the big mistake that I made. So here we go. We just rolled the dice. I drew King Bransman and the Ents card, one of the Ents cards, and I have a Will of the West, so I can bring in Gandalf. There is a right answer to where to put Gandalf right now, and you should put him in the Woodland Realm, because you have 5 units, 4 of which are elites, in the Woodland Realm. That would just be horrible to try to take over as a Shadow. Of course, it is possible, you know, if you get lucky, roll some 6s in your first 5 die, have a couple onslaughts, you know. If you look at it right now, he does have 2 full armies almost, you know, and so would you put Gandalf in the Woodland Realm here? You know, actually, now that I think of it, maybe, you know, it could go either or, but I choose to put him in Fangorn, thinking that he's got so many units there, I don't want to lose Gandalf. But I underestimate that 4 elites and 1 regular in a stronghold is a lot. That's like 1 less than the max you can get in there, and especially with Gandalf in there also, it's going to be nearly impossible to take over. Alas, I didn't, and let's see what happens. My opponent was saying, "Oh, that's a tough call there." So he moves some units into the Woodland Realm and into Minas Morgul. So now he's got a 10-stack army in Woodland Realm. I now play King Bransman, which is a great card right now. It's going to really mess up his attack onto the Dew line. Brings in some units in Orthanc. So now he's got 5 elites in Orthanc. And so, usually when I see mustering an Orthanc with the Saruman's voice ability changing the regulars into elites, to me that usually is the indication that they're going to go for a fast attack in Helm's Deep before my Edoras units can move to Westamnet, because 5 elites can definitely take over Helm's Deep right now, but the only thing that's stopping is the fact Gandalf is in Fangorn. Usually, what I do is instead of using the mouth, I'll just put in 1 elite, and because if you think about it, changing 2 regulars into 2 elites, you know, that's just increasing the army by a size of 2, and adding 1 elite is also adding the army size by 2. So it's not really making your army bigger or less by using the voice. But the fact of the matter is now that you have 5 elites in there, you got no regulars, and if you want to make a big army in there, as it is right now, as you see on the screen, it's going to be a little bit more tough, because he only has I believe, one more elite in the pool, and to put in regulars there, you can't put in 2 at once. So if you would have kept the 4 in there at the beginning, you know, it's just easier to make a big army there. But maybe that's not what you're thinking. If you want to go for a fast rush, this is the quickest way to do it. Because of course those Isengard elites are nasty. 2 health and leadership. Crazy. He goes ahead and adds a 6-1 in there, and then attacks the Fords of Isen. So just what I expected. A fast attack on Rohan. He goes ahead and he kills everybody in the Fords of Isen. But the Fords of Isen does take 1 back. So now here's another question for you viewers: is how many units from Orthanc would you move into the Fords of Isen now that Gandalf is in Fangorn? He leaves 3. Basically meaning you can take 1 end card. It's going to be a 1/8 chance of killing Saruman with an end card right now. But if you did have 2 end cards, then I believe it's an over 50% chance of taking it over if you have 2. So looks like he's banking on me not having 2, and I don't. I only have 1. So works out. And obviously 4 elites is more than enough to take 1 unit in Helm's Deep. And he goes ahead and sieges. And this is always interesting play. Honestly, this is something that I do all the time too, is I just kind of bum rush Helm's Deep for an easy 2 points. But the only downside to that is that if you don't take Edoras, they have time to muster, and then they could be a problem. So, let's see what happens here. Attacks Helm's Deep, chooses a card. I have advantageous position. He has Desperate Battle, which is perfect for him. Or sorry, perfect for me. You know, it's always a risk playing advantageous position when you're in a stronghold. But he still gets the 1, and I do not get any. And you might think, why would you play advantageous position there? You only got 1 unit. You know it's going to die. I did it because I had 6 cards in my hand, and I'm going to have to discard some anyway, so might as well start using some while I can. Also, if you look in my cards I have right now, I drew Thranduil's Archers. So now the Woodland Realm is looking real beefy. It's going to be a big battle there if Shadow goes for it, which it looks like he is. But anyways, back to the matter at hand. Rohan, Helm's Deep has fallen. Shadow has its first 2 points, and I play Guards of the Citadel because I have a Palantir and can't play Thranduil. You never want to play Mithril Coat early because it's very powerful late game. I could have used the end cards there, but I didn't want to. I don't know, it's only a 1/8 chance of killing them all, so I'm going to wait if I can get another one. Of course, can't play Dead Men, and yeah. So that was the only thing I was going to do there. And now the Shadow moves, and it looks like he's going to try to take out the rest of Rohan with just 3 elites and 1 regular. So that, right there, is a little risky. Let's see how it pulls out for him. So now I draw into Imrahil of Dol Amroth and Horn of Gondor. I love the Imrahil. At least help a little bit in the attack from Umbar, if that does end up happening. So as the free people, I roll 1 Will of the West. It looks like I decide not to use it, and I use the muster to muster a elite in Edoras. And so he could play Day Without Dawn, but if he does do that, then I technically have another chance to muster in Edoras right now. I would have to use a ring, so obviously another give or take. So he goes ahead and attacks Edoras, chooses a card. I do not play a card, and he's got Desperate Battle, which is a good card for him. And gets 3 whole hits, which is really good. And I only hit 1. So I was brought down to 2 regulars, and he presses, and I retreat into the fold. And he changes what units he downgrades, so that instead of having 3 elites, he now has 2 elites and 2 regulars, and he moves 1 into Edoras. I go ahead and muster into the fold. I'm not going to give up Rohan so easily. You know, if it's kind of a interesting situation where he's focusing on Rohan, and this is kind of the human aspect of the game, where really you could be playing everywhere all at once, but usually everything happens in areas at a time. At the beginning, he was focusing on the dew line, but now our attention has focused onto Rohan, and I could have been using these musters. To bring the North to war. Well, honestly, as the free people, there really isn't anything else to do with those musters besides muster elves or Rohan units. I don't really actually want to bring Gondor or the North to war right now. That would be a waste. And so, but the Shadow, they are trying to capitalize on Rohan. So yeah, I guess overall this is the right term of events for what we want to do. Usually what I would do sometimes is take over Helm's Deep and then just sit my butt there and let the free people muster their Rohan army and just, let them waste all their muster dies on elites and units into Edoras and Westamnet and let them spend their time trying to take back Helm's Deep, right? So kind of the two options. Option one is what my opponent is doing right now, which is try to bum rush all of Rohan really quickly and just completely take it out so I can't muster there at all. Option number two, just stay in Helm's Deep, let Rohan muster up. Yes, they're obviously going to be a threat for a military victory, and they have a solid chance of taking Helm's Deep back with end cards, but it will take several actions, and all the dice they use attacking in Rohan, you'll use your dice elsewhere in, to do area, attacking Gondor, you can really do anything, so it's kind of up to you, whatever you think is best. It's a complicated game. So now it looks like he's attacking the fold with his bigger army. And he goes ahead and gets 2 hits, which is pretty good. I go ahead and hit 1. And then I retreat into Eastamnet. So Rohan has been taken mostly. Those 2 regulars can still take back the fold. The Shadow could attack Eastamnet, but before they do that, they would have to muster in Dol Guldur, because it's possible you don't kill the 2, and we retreat to the Western Brownlands and then take Dol Guldur on the next turn. So you got to watch out for that. Hill Trolls comes into the Woodland Realm, making it real beefy. Go ahead and watch the big battle coming up in the Woodland Realm with 5 elites and 5 regulars on the Shadow 4th and 4 elites and 1 regular. And so you know what they say in siege battles, usually the Shadow needs double the army of the free people. And right now the Shadow has, let's see, 5 times 10 is 15 health army, and the free people has 4 times 2, it's 8, 9. So they don't actually have twice, but if you add those 7 in from the Old Force load, then they do. So we will, especially with the Witch King there, playing battle effect cards, I think they have a solid chance. Okay, so the battle didn't happen yet. They moved Nazgul first, which kind of iffy, he already had 5 leadership there, so we're going to have some combat cards that sacrifice Nazgul leadership coming up. Alright, so, yep, just like I said, Dread and Despair, so they can forfeit -4, so I barely don't roll anything with my elves, but they do not roll very well, only 1 6, and of course the one that the free people has is also a 6, so the courage of the elves in the Woodland Realm are very high. They go again with the Cruel as Death with the Penalty of Orthanc. Obviously, interesting call. Penalty of Orthanc's a very powerful top effect. But, when he got the Witch King, gotta use him. And then they don't get any hits. Not even a 5 in the combat roll. So, very unlucky roll for the Shadow. And the free people rolls and hits 2 of them, and they stop. Free people moves again onto the 6 movement, succeeds, and then the Shadow uses a ring to play dreadful spells on the Woodland Realm. Looks like they probably just drew that with the Witch King. and gets nothing. So right now the Fellowship is pretty lucky. And then we go ahead and play Mithril Coat. We don't play Horn of Gondor because Boromir is dead. Don't want to play Thranduil's Archers just yet because there's still 5 units in the Woodland Realm. So with the Dreadful spells, and I think it was 3 rounds of combat, maybe that was just 2. Looks like the Shadow only was able to take out 1 unit, so very sad efforts there. Now, another Woodland Realm attack with no cards on both sides. And now the Shadow rolls 3 6s. Luck comes back, and the Free People hit back with 2. And now we're thinking, here comes Thranduil's Archers. And we take out Elite in the Woodland Realm. And the Shadow goes ahead and presses, but doesn't get any hits because they don't have any cards, and the Free People get another 2 hits. But for the Shadow, this is totally okay for them because they have those reinforcements. So they take out all of their regulars and keep their elites so that they can put a perfect 10-stack army in there. Alright, so we draw into Mirror of Galadriel and Fearfire Foes. Fearfire Foes isn't too helpful here because Gandalf's already out, and basically to use it you're going to have to separate someone from the Fellowship, which is 1 die, and then use the card, which is the 2nd die, which is the same as just using 2 musters to bring them to war. Plus the fact that both Carrock and Dale are right there. As soon as you play it, they're going to get attacked, and it doesn't matter anyways. Alright, Free People, we roll 4 characters, which is interesting. So now what we're thinking is, hey, we did just draw the Mirror of Galadriel. It is possible to get Strider here. But before we do that, we got to use Thranduil's Archers while we can. Let's go. And now the Shadow player moves some units. Which is really interesting what they did in the south. They moved the Sauron units to West Harrendor. Very interesting. I guess you can go ahead and take Peligir with those units, but why not just take Osgiliath? Gondor still won't be at war, and you'll still be 1 away from Peligir. I don't know. Guess it all depends. I forgot to draw a card from Thranduil's Archers. Don't forget them. Some of those strategy cards let you draw more. It's not just Gandalf effect that does that. Alright, so I use a character now that the Fellowship is at 6 on the Fellowship track. Whenever you're at 6 on the Fellowship track, it's still in Rivendell, you will be able to get into Dol Amroth with a single character die, and that's always good to see. But now the question here is okay, I can use Mirror of Galadriel, but if I do use it and change one of my characters to Will of the West, my opponent might have Day Without Dawn. So you should probably do that last. But then we go ahead and attack in the Woodland Realm again, and the opponent has Orc Patrol, which is using the Cruel as Death feature of it. So he forfeits 2 Nazgul leadership, which he's got 8, so he's got more than enough. And then gets 2 hits. Luckily my shield wall cancels 1, and I do not get any hits. And then looks like he presses and plays the Day Without Dawn Relentless Assault. Love to see that, it's just playing right into my plans. And he goes ahead and only gets 1 hit, even with the Relentless Assault and taking 2 units. So that's super unlucky. I will say that this battle is going super not well for the Shadow, luck-wise. But that's bound to happen. Then they stop there. And now I'm free to use the Mirror of Galadriel because he just used Day Without Dawn, so I know he can't get rid of my Will of the West, so it was good timing there. Now we can crown Aragorn. And now it goes ahead and attacks Woodland Realm again. Now the question here also, before we discuss this Wither Realm battle, with all those characters, would it have been better to not separate Strider and then just kind of make a sprint towards Mordor? You know, I could have moved a total of 3 times there, because I spent 1 to separate Strider, 1 to play the Mirror of Galadriel, and then 1 to crown Aragorn. So that's 3 movement. Obviously, probably would have got hit in at least 2 or 3 of the movements, but, you know, with Strider, Legolas, Gimli, and the 2 hobbits, and I only 1 corruption, maybe that's worth it. Goes ahead and attacks the Woodland Realm again with a relentless assault. And only puts 1 unit on it, and only gets a handful of hits. So Woodland Realm had now been whittled down to 3 units, and the Shadow has 6. Now, rewind a little bit. Think of how that battle would have went if Gandalf was in there. So, that's a regret. Of course, it's easy to make your decisions after the fact, but it's always making decisions before you know what the events unfold. That's the tough part. Goes ahead and hits me and gets a 2, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. Legolas will take that. You know, that's also a benefit of taking out Stride of the Leadership, because then you're totally fine separating the guides to take out those hunt tiles efficiently. Not as afraid to take randoms either. And then here comes the Corsairs of Umbar. Uses a die for it, which I guess. But then then you don't have any flexibility as the Shadow, so I don't know if that was the right move. Anyways, we go into the next round. I draw the second End card, so now we can use those and have a pretty solid chance of taking out Orthanc. But of course, then we can't use their battle effect. But I think it's worth it, because if you use them to take out Saruman, the leadership ability of the elites goes away, and that's pretty powerful. So, the Shadow, I believe, I pass right away. I have a Will of the West, but I know he doesn't have Day Without Dawn, so we pass right away. They play Half-Orcs and Goblin Men, looking to take out Woodland Realm. And you can comment that all of the Shadow's health cards have gone into the Woodland Realm. He mustered in a Sauron Elite, an Isengard Elite, and Half-Orcs and Goblin Men, all in the Woodland Realm, which is pretty crazy. And I also had Thranduil's Archers too, so that was pretty cool. They go ahead and attack it again, hoping to finish it off, and they get 3 hits. And so the Woodland Realm is donezo. The Shadow has finally done it. Turn 7 Woodland Realm. Now we go ahead and move the Fellowship, and they roll a 6 on 1 die. It's the 2nd time this game. Not great. And then he draws a 1. And so now we could take the Corruption here and take it safe, but, you know, there are 2 Hobbits and 1 Gimli, and so I'm thinking, hey, let's take a random 2/3 chance of getting a Hobbit here. You can't get any better odds than that, and do the random, and we get Gimli. So that sucks, but what are you going to do? So now we get a Black Captain commanding down to Dol Amroth, and Dol Amroth does have that 1 elite and the 1 leader in there, plus Aragorn's in there. Alright, so I'm going to rewind again. So now I understand why the Shadow used Corsairs last turn right away. It's because Aragorn was in there. And so they're thinking that they can take this right now, and then my 6 die will be gone. So, you know, another thing to consider, you know, probably wasn't the best idea to bring Aragorn down there. I kind of was banking on them not having the Corsairs, but you know, that's another thing with the Corsairs. You can kind of trap the free people that way. You know, if they are able to bring in Aragorn, you can kind of take out that die right away. So maybe it wasn't the best decision on my part to even get him in the first place. So he goes ahead and presses, and I believe he takes me out here. I could be wrong. We just attack and attack and attack. Yeah, so he stops there. I move, and we keep the Fellowship going. The Fellowship is now on number 9 on the track. And I believe he takes out Dol Amroth with 2 die. Yep, just like so. With the Witch King redrawing cards, I always find that the tempo of games is really basically how effectively you can use the Witch King in the base version of War of the Ring. That the ability of redrawing cards in the battle effect is very, very strong, and if you're able to utilize that, that's how you're going to be able to take out those strongholds really quickly, is by using the battle effects. You can see my opponent, he even used Candles of Corpses and Orc Patrol, which are great cards for stopping the Fellowship, but they're going for a all-out military strategy right now, and that's what you got to do for it. And if we're looking at it right now, the Shadow has 7 points, 2 from Dol Amroth, 2 from the Woodland Realm, 2 from Helm's Deep, and what's that other one? I think only 6, because they have not taken a city just yet. They could take out Dale pretty easily. Oh, they're attacking Peligir right now. That's what they're doing with that 5 army. So yeah, I started mustering there, and so usually, you're going to want to attack Peligir while it's got 1 unit, but they waited too long, and now I was able to muster 1 elite, and now I got 1 elite in Lamadon, and so I'm thinking here, hey, you know what, maybe I can take Dol Amroth back, and that would be pretty devastating for the Shadow. So, and I did just roll this beautiful 3 musters, or 4, well, I do just have all of these hybrid die here, so, trying to use the best. It might have been better to, yeah, actually, I don't think anything better I can do here. You can't muster in Rohan. I don't see any elves to muster here, and I don't want to bring the north down. Especially don't want to bring the north down because I don't want them to get the mouth. And I would see for the Shadow here, attacking Dale or Carrick here is probably great for getting the mouth right now. Oh, it's all of the free people's nations are at war. That's one of the conditions for bringing in the mouth of Sauron. So I go ahead and I mustered 2 regulars in the southern Gondor regions. It's nice having 1 in Lozernark, because then the Shadow can't take it by just using half a movement. They go ahead and attack Lamadon from Peligir, so 4 units versus my 3 health unit. And I use scouts here, and I'm not sure if this was the right play. I was thinking that, I will retreat into Eric, just north of Dol Amroth, and he'll have to split his army. And then I could probably take back Peligir from the east side, and depending on how many he puts into Lamadon, I can just attack that. So that's what we're thinking, and he splits his army 50-50, which I think is the right move. And but it is still pretty stretched out, like butter over too much bread, as my boy Bilbo would say. And I go ahead and I start mustering regulars, 1 in Minas Tirith, 1 in Lozernark, thinking that I'll probably take advantage of his stretched out units. And now he goes ahead and attacks Dale, trying to bring in the mouth here. And he plays Desperate Battle and only gets 2. So I have 1 left. And oh man, look at that. I hit him 3 times, so that was pretty brutal. So he only has 3 unit army there. He presses, of course, though, and I go here. And now, if you take a look at this state here, all of the Free People's nations are at war, and Shadow has 1 muster to bring in the mouth. How do I prevent him from doing that? This is how. It's by moving the north unit to Dol Guldur, forcing him to muster an elite there instead of bringing in the mouth. And if he does bring in the mouth, then I'll get a free 2 victory points. And then what I also do is I move Minas Tirith north. I'm thinking, hey, Helm's Deep is empty, and I'm going to need to prolong this game for a little bit here. because of the fact that he's at 8 points, only needs 2 more, and Erebor looks like it might be taken. Although, since he doesn't have that many units right now to reinforce it, maybe it'll be fine. And I don't have Dane Ironfoot's guard. I would have loved this round to have played my Ent cards, which maybe I should have done, but he only had 1 eye in the box, and I wanted to move. But maybe that was a mistake. And also, maybe for this last move here, maybe I should have used a ring to get that 10th movement. But, it would be 50-50 for getting revealed, or for the hunt being successful, and then drawing a tile that with a reveal. I did have Mythical Instinct, but I've been drawing tiles this whole game without reveals, so the pool right now is pretty potent with revealing tiles. Yeah, as you can see here, there's only 3 that don't reveal me. But, of course, the Fellowship needs to be speedy, so I'm kind of banking on taking Rohan back and then kind of taking my time with the Fellowship. See how it pulls out. And, of course, he has to use his muster for an elite in Dol Guldur, which is not great. And I mentioned to him, no Mouth of Sauron for you. Not yet, at least. And I'm not in Mordor yet, and I am at 9 movement. And so the question is do you move here, or do you stay in Rivendell? I stay in Rivendell for the reason of, I think I can move once and get to 10, because that's all I gotta do, and then cruel weather will not affect me, because there's no one region they can move me from Rivendell that will get me further back from Mordor, because if I go into the Trollshaws, that's still 1 away from Holland, so there's nowhere to put me. So happy with that. Can't even use any of the Nazgul cards to put Nazgul on the Fellowship to reveal him, since I'm in a stronghold. So I get 3 characters. I go ahead and I move right away before he can play Phlox of Crebain or something like that, and I'm safe, so I'm feeling pretty good. It's not every day you see the Fellowship get to Mordor all in one go. And the Shadow thinks for a bit, draws a card, and now it's time for the Ents. Which is not great because I don't have another character card to play after them. They have the effect where you can play another character after the fact. But you know what? I want to get Saruman out of there, and I don't want to wait another turn. And on the first card that I play, I get 3 hits, so I don't even have to play the second one. And as you can see here, I chose this Ent card specifically first, because this one, the combat effect is not as good as the attitude to your combat roll, in my opinion, because I'm going to be going on the attack here, so I made sure to play the Ent card that was least that had the worst combat effect. And the Shadow says, uh-oh. Plays Shadows on the Misty Mountains. I'm not sure where you're going to go with that army. Maybe to Lorien. Of course, you can't use the Saruman ability anymore to muster in the Dunlands. So now, it looks like he is attacking... Oh, it's my turn. Yes, look at that. I am using a character to attack the Fold with the Minas Tirith army. I get 1 hit, and he gets none. So now I'm going to march upon Rohan and take back all my stuff. And I make the subtle comment, where was Gondor when the Westfold fell? Well, here's the answer. Goes ahead and brings some units back into Helm's Deep. You always want those units in a stronghold region, and they don't want to be field battling against my Minas Tirith army. Goes in and brings in the Mouth. Oh, actually, he brings it back. Yeah, I'll bring in the Mouth at the end, just in case I got something up my sleeve. No sense bringing them in early. So now I go ahead and I muster in Carrick, thinking that, hey, maybe in the future we will take over the Woodland Realm, because there's only 2 units in there, and it looks like they're going to need to take Erebor to get their last victory point. And so this is kind of me thinking into the future. But you know what? The thing that you really can't underestimate is Minas Tirith is literally empty right now. Yes, his whole Mordor Southernling army is completely stretched out, and I have 2 units in Osgiliath and 2 units in Lozernark. Probably an elite in Minas Tirith, or at least a regular there and a regular in Karok probably would have been better in this situation. Then he goes ahead and brings in the mouth, and I go ahead and I move my Gondor and Rohan units. I merge them together in Westamnet, ready for a battle into Helm's Deep. He goes ahead and attacks the Narrows of the Forest from Dol Guldur. Alright, so he has a 1 elite army attacking my 1 regular army, hoping that out of 2 dice he can hit a 5. And the reason for this is probably because he wants to take Lorien, I'm assuming, and so he might want to bring that elite there. Is it worth it? I'm not sure if that's worth it, if I'm being frank. But what else are you going to do with that sword? Maybe move Nazgul, move the mouth. Yeah, like I said, I'm not really sure. But that's what he does. He attacks the Narrows of the Forest. Doesn't get a hit. I get a hit. So I reduce his elite to a regular. And then he's got to stop. Because if he loses that last regular, then the Mouth of Sauron is gone. You don't want to take that risk. And I go ahead and I draw the 3rd end card. So now Rohan is probably going to be taken back. Those great combat cards. We Fellowship declares into Mordor all the way from Rivendell, which is great. And the Fellowship does not roll very well. We get 3 Palantirs, which is not great. And so we pass on the first turn. They put in some units in Moria, definitely looking like they're going to try to take Lorien here. And as you can see here, there are no elves left in the pool, so there's no more mustering elven units, which is always kind of sad. But you know what? All of the elven units were put to use in the Woodland Realm. They did their job, so that is that. Nothing you can do about it. So he goes ahead and moves out of Moria. And also Lamadon to Peligir. Alright, so he moves a 4-unit army into Peligir. Maybe looking to get Minas Tirith. But of course now I can take Lamadon back with my Gondor units. Let's see here what happens. I draw a character card. I draw into Grey Company, which is not great. He goes ahead and sieges Lorien, and now I really got to get some points back here because with a 4 elite army with 3 regulars, that's enough to take Lorien. That's what 8, 11, and in Lorien we got 5. So yeah, it's double the army. So I go ahead and I use my character to attack Helm's Deep instead of moving because I'm thinking he will probably win this battle here, and I'm going to need to take back Helm's Deep. And so he goes ahead and plays the Ringwraiths Abroad to bring some Nazgul into Helm's Deep, so he can protect it, and then also to attack in Lorien. I played Daylight, hoping that I can last for a little bit longer. Alas, that was not the case, I believe. And so I believe he takes me out in Lorien here. It might take a couple die, but he's able to do it. He's got Devilry Vorthank, all the usual cards. Brings me down to 1, and then hits that last one. I whittle his army down, but doesn't really need to do anything with that 2 regular 1 elite army anymore. Now I go ahead, and so he's got over 10 victory points now. So now I have to take Rohan this round to go to the next one, and I play the Ent card. And so now this is also kind of a tricky situation. Do you play the Ent card that adds 2 to your combat roll, or do you play the Ent card that gives you 2 additional hits if you hit at least once. And I decided to use the one that adds 2 to my combat roll because, you know, there's always a chance you don't get a 6. You know, especially out of 7 dice with the leadership. There's a solid chance you just don't get it, and that would really suck. So I would rather have the for sure one, which is hitting on 4s. Just because the battle is very intense, or not intense, I should say, just crucial. That's the word we're looking for. And I go ahead and I roll 6, 1, 1, 6, 3. Should have played the other card. It's always interesting looking at it after the fact, of course. And he hits me twice, which is not great, but I can take it. I bring him down to 2 units, and we go again, and I play the Nameless Woods. So now I only have to hit once here for me to take him out. And I do. And he hits me back twice, but that's okay, because now I have successfully taken back Helm's Deep. So now, I'm kind of sad because the Fellowship isn't moving. He goes ahead and attacks Lossernark and kills my 2 regulars that were chilling in there. And now, God, I wish I would have mustered a elite into Minas Tirith instead of Karok. Oh, that would have been so much better in so many different ways. But alas, I didn't. And so now Minas Tirith is in very tough shape. So I have to move it in there, so I have to use a rig. And so the question is do I want to muster an elite or just move my Osgiliath units in? And the answer is probably the Osgiliath army, and that's because I can move a second army. See, I kind of did a little hesitation there. And I could also bring in the units that were in Eric's Take Back Peligir. Because he will need Peligir, as you can see next round. What I'm thinking is I could take back Peligir and Edoras. You know, Edoras still only has 1 regular from the Shadow Army, so I can swoop on over and take that guy up. Now the Shadow goes on ahead and attacks Minas Tirith and has a solid chance of actually taking it this turn and just winning the game. And goes ahead and plays Onslaught. So kind of tough, you know. He's got 4 units and I got 2. So if he hits 1 on the combat, you know, and has a couple of units to spare, things will be looking pretty good. This could be it. And he goes ahead and gets none on his combat roll, and I get 1 on mine. So he only has 2 units. So he has a over 50% chance of killing me here. Oh, sorry. He does not. Since I had 2 units, he needed to get 2 hits, and he only had 2 units to his Onslaught. So actually, there's only a 25% chance of killing me there. And he only gets 1, and so the Minas Tirith lives for another round. We go into the next. I draw a file in the Wisdom of Elrond, and I'm sad that I was not able to move last round. I used Corruption. And so now I get a nice roll with Will of the West and characters, which is kind of nice because I know I'll have to be attacking, but at the same time, well, yeah, no, it's good because I also want to move in Mordor too. And I'm thinking that I'll take back Peligir and Edoras, and that'll probably delay the Shadow another turn. And so I use the Will of the West right away to move before he takes back Peligir. And I move 3 to go take Edoras back. Okay. And then my opponent says, this is crazy. I've never seen this before. So now I go ahead and attack Edoras and take it out. Boom, just like that. Now the Shadow's at 7 points. The Shadow will now need to take back a stronghold and a city to get to 10. So if you were the Shadow, what would you go for? Minas Tirith obviously sounds pretty good. You know, it's only got 1 unit in there, but you just don't have many units outside. There's still Erebor. Erebor is obviously an option, but of course Karok is there to help protect the Dew Line. Fellowship's just been chilling on the first step of the Mordor track too, but now we start moving. And we draw 2, and we take both hobbits out on it, so we're totally fine with that. And now the Shadow has moved their army from Lorien all the way down, looking like they will take Edoras back or reinforce Minas Tirith. And they did move one regular into Minas Tirith, and 2 units against one is still pretty good. The odds of taking that are still pretty good. And I see the play here. They have 2 dice left in the mouth, so they can use that muster as they attack, and so you can attack Edoras here with the army, and then also attack Minas Tirith, and have a solid chance of taking it. So I go ahead and use my Will of the West to bring 3 of the units from Westamet into Edoras. When I took Edoras at the beginning, I wasn't expecting an army to come down from the north, and so I only put 1 unit in there, thinking that, hey, maybe these units will go for attack in Orthanc in the future, but that did not pan out, and so I go ahead and I pressed the wrong button. Sorry. I actually changed something here. I was planning on bringing the Carrick army down to Old Forest Road, but I had to change my mind and move the Narrows of the Forest because of the fact that I only have a character left, and I can only make an attack with a army with a leader. Now, I remember this moment because I had two decisions here. One is what I did, which is reinforce Edoras. Or 2, I could have just let my opponent take Edoras and then merge my my armies in Old Forest Road. Because the Shadow only has 2 action dice left, 1 to take Edoras, 1 to take Minas Tirith. And with my merged Old Forest Road and Carrick army, you could definitely take Edoras there. So that would have 100% gave me the go for the next round. But that would also mean that I would have to spend my last character to attack. But in this case, I'm just hoping Edoras will defend itself. It is kind of 50-50. I don't know. I think I have the edge here in Edoras because I have that first defensive bonus. But he does have the Witch King, and we'll probably have... there's not too many Shadow cards you can play in the Edoras battle here, so... I choose to defend instead of attack, so the Fellowship can keep moving. And he goes ahead and attacks, looks like Edoras, and I play Confusion. And he gets 1 hit, and I go ahead and get 2 hits. So now Edoras is looking really, really good. And he goes ahead and presses, which is extremely risky. He's probably going to lose the Witch King here. And I think that is... almost, yeah. So I go ahead and I get a 5, and the Witch King is now dead. Sad times. Alas, he uses his muster to muster up Umbar. So now we're looking at another Minas Tirith situation. So now we are in the endgame, turn 11. Tensions are high. We've been at it for several hours now. It is now Christmas. It is past the midnight hour. And I roll into turn 11 with 3 characters, a Palantir, and a hybrid. And the Shadow just gets a beautiful roll with many hybrids and a lot of attacks. But no characters. But I don't think you really need a character here, so it should be fine for them. All they need to do is get 3 points. Looks like they'll go for Pelargir and Minas Tirith. And now, as the free people, I gotta think here, oh boy, I only got 1 muster, I got no rings left, so I need to find a way to last 1 more round, so how to do it, right now I don't have many cards to play. I got a Scouts, Spirit of Mordor, Through a Day and Night can't help too much because I don't have characters in my battles, same thing with the Grey Company. Círdan's ships it will not work because the elves, there are none in the force pool. So let's see what I do. I start off by playing Smeagol Helps Nice Master, thinking, well, hey, there's nothing else I can do with this Palantir. I don't want to draw a strategy card because I'm not going to have the dice to use it. I need to use that dice to muster or move, and there's no rings, so got to use that Palantir on something. And you know, my winning goal here is still to dunk the ring. So, and the fellowship is still looking pretty good. All right, so now we go ahead and make a really hard decision here, and that is to put a leader in Peligir and a regular in Carrick. All right, thinking is this is what's going to happen. The Shadow Army is going to attack Peligir, and Peligir will retreat or scout into Osgiliath or Lozernark, or just Osgiliath, because Lozernark's taken over, and then attack into Minas Tirith. But here's an issue here. The issue is what if he just attacks Minas Tirith first? All right, I got one unit in there. He's got 2 regulars. Chances are he'll win that battle. It might take 1, it might take 2, it might take 3 dice, but chances are he will win the Minas Tirith battle if he just keeps attacking here. So maybe what I should have done is I should have acted fast. I shouldn't have used that Palantir. First turn, I should have mustered. Second turn, move to Osgiliath. Third turn, attack Minas Tirith, just to get those 2 regulars off of Minas Tirith. Because if Minas Tirith can hold this round, I will get to the next round. And I'm thinking that right now. So I've just mustered, and so do I bank on my opponent attacking Peligir first so I can scout into Osgiliath to attack Minas Tirith, or do I just go for it right away? And like I said before, I have to muster in an elite in Peligir. I would love to put an elite, but I got no rings and I only have characters left, so I need the elite in there so that they can attack. Luckily, I still had one left in the force pool. Then he comes up and brings 2 elites and 1 regular into West Harndor. I pass, see what he's going to do, and the worst happens. All right, I shouldn't have passed there. I underestimated my opponent. My opponent did the right thing here, and they attacked Minas Tirith right away. And I go ahead and play Confusion, and they play Great Host. So, odds are if we both miss, I lose, but I need to hit him once for that Great Host to be negated. And maybe he rolls a 1. And I believe that is what happens. He rolls a 1 and a 2. So, I'm looking good. And then I go ahead and roll a 3 myself. So I don't hit him with me, but the Confusion brings him down to 1. And now Minas Tirith is looking good. But there is still a chance for him to take Minas Tirith here. Alright? And here's a mistake I made, you know. The chances of him taking Minas Tirith are less than 50%. I would give it probably 30 to 35% odds of him taking Minas Tirith because he does have the rerolls. Yeah, probably less. Probably only 30% chance of taking Minas Tirith. And I should have just taken those odds. But I was like, no, I want to move my army and take it over so I can keep mustering Minas Tirith so that he has no chance of taking Minas Tirith in the future. And that's fine if he takes Peligir because, you know, he needs Minas Tirith to win the game. So I go ahead and I move out of Peligir and ready for the attack on Minas Tirith. But what I should have done, I you know, like I said, and I'll keep saying it, it's easy to say what you should have done after the fact. Because if I would have left 1 regular in Peligir, you know, he only has 4 movement left. And so he would have to spend an extra die to attack Peligir, and chances are he would hit it because he only has 3 dice that hit on 6s. And then I could have retreated back into Osgiliath with that 1 unit. And 1 elite and 1 leader will probably take out a regular and a leadership too. Okay, so he doesn't go for Peligir here. He attacks Minas Tirith, you know, which is fine because, you know, he does have, like I said, like 30% odds or something. He plays through the ring, so he gets to add 1 on his leadership reroll. He rolls a 4 and a 2. Doesn't hit. I also don't hit. And then it's just Minas frickin' Tirith, you know. What will it take to fall? Then I attack Minas Tirith from Osgiliath. He hits me once. And then I go ahead, press. He stays, and I get him. And he gets me once, too. So, I could have left one in Peligir. You know, he would have killed off my whole army there, but, you know, I would have had one left in Minas Tirith. But I go right on ahead, and I bring my 2 into Minas Tirith, thinking that everything's hunky-dory, and I'm going to get to the next round. But he goes ahead, and he moves his units, and he moves his units again, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay, he's got 4 health, and I've got 2 regulars. There's a chance he could do this. I move the Fellowship. I gets a 1 reveal. That's fine. And now we attack. It's like, oh boy, here's another situation where Shadow could win here. It's not looking good. Depends on the card he plays, and he plays an Onslaught. So if he hits on the, yeah, even if he doesn't hit, and if I don't hit him, you know, I think he has a much higher than 50% odds here of winning this battle with this Onslaught. Oh boy, so he rolls and gets 1 hit, I roll and get 0 hits. So I'm down to 1, and he's able to take 3 hits on his units for the Onslaught. And 87.5% chance of that, he says it in the chat. And he rolls 5, 5, and 6, and that is GG. What an absolute banger of a game that was. Took forever, but you know, you had everything. You had a huge Woodland Realm army with all the musters, alright? You had Rohan being taken over, Rohan being taken back, you know, you had Minas Tirith just being Minas Tirith. The Fellowship making it all the way to Mordor in one go, but just being slowpokes and not being able to get to the crack in time. It was a Christmas miracle, you know, on Christmas Day, and so we were very happy with the results, and I'm happy to share with you all. Let me know what you think of it. Let me know if you think I made any mistakes. One thing that I would like to say for this match, for the very last battle in Minas Tirith, there's something that you can think about when you go to sleep tonight. I had scouts, alright? And I asked my opponent this afterwards, alright? And you can see it in the chat there. Sometimes what people do is if the Shadow Army attacks a Free People army that is, you know, in a stronghold area, you stay for a field battle and then play scouts, and the scout says you can withdraw into siege on it, alright? And basically what that does is that kind of baits the Shadow player into playing one of their good combat cards. The only thing that can backfire is if they play Swarm of Bats. And I was thinking that, hey, I could play scouts here, but, you know, if he had Swarm of Bats, then that wouldn't be really good for me. But he didn't, and he wouldn't have played it, and I asked him, hey, if I would have stayed in for a field battle here, would you have played the Onslaught? And he said he would have. And so maybe the end result of the game would have been different if I would have played scouts in a field battle when he attacked Minas Tirith for the last time. You know? It's just something to think about. Always have that in mind. There's a little trick. I don't think it would necessarily work on really veteran, experienced players, but a lot of people don't know that that's a thing, and that was the case for this match. You know, if I would have gone back, I should have done that. Should have used scouts to bait out the Onslaught. But that's that. I hope you guys all enjoyed watching my video. I didn't have my comments, the comment section enabled in my last video, so I fixed that, and I fixed a couple of the fonts on here, so hopefully you guys can see the numbers a little bit better. So let me know what you think, if you would have done anything different, or if we did anything wrong. I appreciate all you guys' feedback, and keep playing. Thank you.